One new study is suggesting thousands of restos across Canada could be closing this year after already seeing significant losses in the industry in 2025. This is a study done out of Dalhousie. It shows that about 4,000 restaurants could go out of business, while a net 4,000 loss in restaurants this year, as there was a net loss of 7,000 in 2025 lost already. So let's look at the impact that the industry is dealing with, the impacts of cost of living, and also potentially opportunities out there. We've got the FIFA World Cup coming to town and potentially more. Let's bring in Charles Khabouth. He's the founder and CEO of Inc. Entertainment. Charles, we appreciate your time tonight, sir. And I think you may be someone who knows better than most how difficult and volatile the industry is at large. Already on like any year, it's hard to be able to keep a restaurant afloat. Are things getting harder for folks like you?
Definitely harder. We definitely have had to pivot quite a bit and take a hard decision that we cannot move our prices up according to, the cost of living, because it's just not possible to go up 20 and 30% and expect to keep a client base that we've had over the years. So the decision was, in our company, we own about 25 restaurants across Canada and the US, to maintain status quo with prices or go up slightly and take a less profit for now. Value is the biggest thing people are looking for in 26 and maybe even 27. But 26, I think value should be and is the number one concern for everybody.
So, Charles, is there like a sweet spot, as it were? I know economists often talk a lot about inflationary, not practices, but just how the industries and costs work. If it's 20% more and you add that on to consumers and then they come in slightly less, then they're using less of their disposable income. But ultimately, if salaries go up 20% or they don't, these all come into play in various ways, depending on the business owner. I say all of this to say, what is there a sweet spot when you're talking about that value that you're trying to keep people coming in for? How do you sort of negotiate that? I feel like that must be hard.
Look, as I mentioned, the decision is to make less but maintain a busy restaurants and food and beverage opportunities that we have. To raise our prices according to what we've been hit with would be suicidal today. I think we would see a massive drop in attendance to our restaurants and bars. So the sweet spot is really right now raising our prices half of what they should have gone up by. It's impossible to take them as high as they should be based on our cost. It's just not feasible. So we have to be very careful. As I mentioned, value is number one for us right now, and every client and staff members at any given time. In 1 week, we serve over 30,000 people in 1 week in our restaurant. So losing 10% is 3,000 clients. And in that business, 10%, 15% is your profit margin. You end up losing your whole profit margin.
Now you can see just how that can spiral out of control. One thing I don't want to spiral out of control, though, is Beau Bichette's eating habits. I just wanted to ask you very quickly if moments like, I don't want to say opportunities because I'm not an entrepreneur, so me saying opportunity sounds disingenuous. But when you have chances to be able to, one, speak, cut through the noise and be able to do something like that, get people's attention, but also at the same time potentially do something good and good for the fan base, are these some of the ways that, not to say that it's, it can be done for bad reasons, but can you do stuff like this to entice people to your restaurant and potentially also get a slugger to rejoin the Blue Jays?
100%. I think showing our commitment to the city, to the Blue Jays, to Beau, that we would go completely out of our way, even though costs have gone up quite a bit, as you were talking about. There's always opportunities, to create marketing initiatives. And people are looking for entertainment. They're looking for excitement. They're looking, for a whole evening. A lot of people that used to go out twice a week now go out once a week. So when you go out that once a week, you're looking for entertainment as well as, value, quality of food and service. It's much tougher now. And going back to Bo, I hope he does take the offer. We'd love to feed him steak forever and ever.
I don't want to speak on behalf of your business, but I certainly hope that he signs here regardless of why. Charles, I really wish we had more time to talk food, but I really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you.
Charles Khabouth is the founder and CEO of Inc. Entertainment and also someone potentially hoping to bring Bo Bichette back with some steak. Thank you.